Let's talk about high school. Welcome to this House of Walls. My name is Ashley, and I love to talk all things secular homeschooling. And here we go. We are starting to plan for high school, which is crazy. My oldest, when we first started homeschooling, was doing 4th grade. He was going into 4th grade. And now this is it. So we definitely have had talks already, obviously asking him his thoughts, and my husband and I talking separately about our thoughts. And I think that we have really narrowed it down to homeschooling for high school. Now, some of the things that I'm going to be talking about is specifically Virginia based. I cannot talk on any other state and their guidelines. And even putting it out there, I am not an expert in any way, shape, or form. There are big homeschool groups that you can reach out to, specifically in Virginia, and I'm sure in other states as well, that can talk the legality of homeschooling. So going into high school, we basically this is it. There's no turning back because our homeschool is not accredited. If we were to change our minds and he was to go to public school, they probably would not take his credits that he had earned up to that point. So, this is it. We're going to be in it. Basically, every year we've been in it. We always pause and say, is this still working? And it has, so we've kept going. Specifically for the state of Virginia, there are no requirements for graduation. So, what does that mean? Well, you and your kid have the freedom to do whatever. One thing that you do want to take into consideration is, what does your kid want to do after high school? So last spring, I went to a homeschool convention near us, and it is secular and inclusive, and it's fantastic. I attended a seminar where one of my friends was actually putting it on and talking about homeschooling the high school years. And the thing that she said that sticks with me to this day is, in the state of Virginia, you could teach underwater basket weaving the whole time. Not teach anything else. That's it. That's all that you guys do. But what are you setting your student up for? We are very much so going to follow the path that he will be going to college. Is that his final decision? No. But we want to make sure that if he does choose that path, he has that ability then to go to a college. So I have a binder. I will get a nice pretty cover for it, but this is just the beginning. This is where I am going to keep all of our information. So I have a beginning transcript just so that I can kind of map out what we are going to be doing. Other little information in there. And then I have tabs for all 4 years of high school. Any classes that he takes, either at home or co-op or online, I am going to keep that information in here. If he gets a grade for that class, it's going to go in there. Course descriptions are going to go in there. Not every college wants a course description list, but some do. I'm gonna try to have this all nice and organized as we are going, so that we don't get to his senior year and go, oh my gosh, I have no information. What class did you take your second semester of your freshman year? No, I'm gonna do it now and keep up with it periodically, probably semester to semester, so that I can make sure everything is in there, so that when I go to write his transcript and graduate him, I am able to do that easily. So I'm going to go off of what I have for his transcript so far, just penciled in, and then I also have my planner with all kinds of notes. So we are going to go off of 4 years of English, 4 years of math, at least 3 years of science with 2 labs, and then anything else that we want to put in there. Eventually we'll get a second language in there. I don't know that that's going to happen our freshman year, so we'll see. Let me start with the biggest grouping of things, which is what I am going to call Literature and Composition 101. And this is just going to encompass a bunch of stuff. First, let's talk composition. We are going to be continuing Writer's Workshop from Layers of Learning. So far this year, we have been doing it as a group subject, and I think that's how we're going to continue it. Now, in high school, I can buy a separate unit that is research paper. And so I'm thinking that at the very end of the year, I will come up with something else for my youngest, and then my oldest and I will go through the research paper and learn all of those great skills. This definitely is a family style of curriculum, and we really like it. There are definitely ways where I can challenge my rising ninth grader more. For example, we just finished our poetry unit in here. And our final project, I made my youngest do 2 to 3 poems, and my oldest, he did 4 to 5. We can definitely beef that up for his freshman year. And I can even say, hey, you can do, 4 to 5, but one of them has to be this style of poem, and just kind of beef it up for him. I think that there are so many amazing things in this, and it is literally just a menu of amazing ideas. Another thing that we are going to include in literature and composition is grammar. We have started Grammar for the Well-Trained Mind. This is their middle school to high school level grammar course. I would say upper middle school. We tried this when he was in 6th grade and he was not ready for it yet. We have started it again for 8th grade and it's working. It is an intense program. It is massive. We are not going to be finishing this in a year. My goal is I would like to finish this by the end of next school year. And then there's different colors and you get the next color. It's the same content, just the practice problems are different and you start at the beginning. You can even put this aside halfway through if it gets too challenging. Get another color of course and start that one from the beginning and work until it gets challenging again, then test and see if you can go further. So there's a lot of options with this, but this will absolutely set him up with honestly way more grammar than he will ever need in his life, but he is also a very creative thinker, and so I want him to have the tools for correct grammar if he might need them someday. That will be a continuation. Something else that I think will be a continuation is word roots. This is level 1. He will not get through all of it this year. If we could get to more like the halfway point, that would be great. But I'm thinking that we will carry this over and then just continue on. If you saw my rising 5th grader and just talking curriculum about him, he wants something different. While I don't know that this is the perfect match for my rising 9th grader, I do think that there's so much to learn from this. And so I think that we're going to continue with this unless I find something totally different that's better. And then literature. This is a huge proponent of that. Little bit of a sneak peek, we will probably be continuing on with level 9, Build Your Library. But I don't know that we are going to use all of the literature components of that. I would kind of like to branch out because I think that it would be really fun to spend probably the whole year reading kind of dystopian type of books. So when I first started kind of trying to come up with literature, I was looking at Build Your Library and the ones for that curriculum. I also came up with a little sheet here of doing, Shakespeare, early American classic, English classic, World War II, modern, sci-fi and fantasy, and nonfiction, which is great. I love that variety. But when I really started looking into sci-fi, fantasy, dystopian, there are so many. And considering the main history topics for the high school levels, I think it would be really fun to branch out and spend a year on dystopian books with some other things included. So here's what I have come up with. We are going to be reading some nonfiction other ways, but I would still like to have one nonfiction book. And I do believe it is in Build Your Library Level 9, and that's Braiding Sweetgrass. Now, this is the adult version, and I can't remember if that level is the young readers or this. I have this. We might just kind of go through this one, unless I see something where it is really grown up. This is Nature and Essays. As a botanist, she has been trained to ask questions of nature with the tools of science. Oh, very cool. So she's a member of the citizen Potawatomi Nation, and she embraces the notion that plants and animals are our oldest teachers. And so how can you bring that together to bring awareness? I've been wanting to read this for a long time. I've heard it's amazing. I feel like it would be a really good time to read this. Before we also get into dystopian, I would like him to start doing Shakespeare, at least one Shakespeare a year, if not more. We will see. Just on my shelf, I got it at a thrift store at some point for 98 cents, is the No Fear Shakespeare Romeo and Juliet. This is just what I have on my shelf. I have other versions and plays that he has that are not the No Fear version. I like the idea of this, that it gives you the original text and then the modern day text so that you understand and make that connection of what are they talking about. I also believe there's some good graphic novel Shakespeare, which would be also really cool. Like maybe we go through the No Fear and then we do a graphic novel to kind of compare and kind of go from there. So beyond that, I have a stack of books here that are dystopian, sci-fi, fantasy-esque. Let's start with this. I actually just pulled these off of my shelves because I bought them because I want to read them, but now my oldest is getting old enough that he and I could experience it together. But that is the Scythe series by Neil Shusterman. The first being Scythe, and then Thunderhead, and The Toll. So at least trying to get through Scythe. And this is people don't die. No hunger, no disease, no war, no misery. Humanity has conquered all of those, even death. So now there are people called Scythes who are the only ones that can end life. Sounds really interesting. I have been wanting to read them for a while, and now I'll be able to enjoy them with him. This is a book of possibilities. I just purchased this for myself. I am trying to buy more banned books and read them. So this is Fahrenheit 451. I mean, classic. I've heard amazing things about it. I have never read it one way or another. We're going to try to incorporate that. It is crazy windy, so I don't know if the camera is picking that up. We have wind advisories today, which isn't super uncommon where we are. We live near a coast, so it happens sometimes. I'm trying to take off a sticker. Another thrift store book, so, but this one they do stickers. All right, so I picked up Ready Player One. Another one I have never read, set in the year 2044, which now is not far away. I believe has something to do with a video game, but then there's, of course, power behind it, and there's a clue of how to take the ultimate prize. We'll see. I think that this is something that my oldest would enjoy, so I have that. I also have The Hunger Games. I mean, yes, there's a lot to be had by this, and I think it would be a lot of fun to go through these again. I read these, I think I've only read through all of them once, maybe twice, but it would be a lot of fun. We do also have the first prequel about President Snow, and then in March is the prequel about Haymitch. So, I mean, we could do like a whole semester just in the Hunger Games, which would be really cool. That is a temptation. And then the last one that I have, again, I bought it for me, but it is part of Build Your Library Level 9. That is The Last Quintista by Donna Barbara Higuero. And I believe this is, oh yeah, Earth is ending and being destroyed. Hundreds of years later, Petra wakes up on a new planet. Oh yeah, but something happened and nobody has memories of the past except for this one person. And so they have to carry the stories of the past. So like I said, I got this for me, but now I can enjoy it with my son. All right, so that is a stack of books. Obviously, we will not get through all of them. And it may even be something like we read the first book in a series, and then it's up to my son if he would like to continue on with that series. Now, with the literature aspect, I would like to bring in a little bit more study of literature, and we're actually starting that now with just a little bit of backstory before we get into the book. What about the author? What about the time and location and things that we need to know historically before we get into this book? I am also wanting him to, at least once a semester, at the end of one of the books, write a paper about it, and I'm not quite sure what that will look like yet. That is not something that we are incorporating yet. I am holding that off until high school, but I think that it's important for him to be able to read a book and then write a paper about it, and that is a skill that he will be able to carry on into college and beyond. And then the last thing kind of in that category is typing with a question mark. I have it written down with a question mark. He has been doing typing and he's really good at it. So do we need to continue it or not? I'm not sure. We will be dropping handwriting at this point. His handwriting is what it is, but typing is something that, you know, you need to know how to type. So I'm not quite sure yet what that will look like, or if we just drop it and, you know, he'll be doing enough typing other ways that he can just continue to practice those skills. Let's get into history and science. So this year he is using Build Your Library level 7 for both of those. We are using it for other things too, but that is the majority of what he is doing. We will be skipping level 8. That is just how it all happened. When I put him onto Build Your Library, he was in 7th grade, but I started him on level 6. And then this year I gave him the option between level 7, which is very geography based, or level 8, which is history of science, and he chose the geography. That's perfect. But we will not be doing the history of science. We will just go on to the high school levels. Level 9 is prehistoric history, which is really cool. We never covered prehistoric history before. I think by the time I had him home, we did a year kind of American history a little bit. And then we started ancient history with History Quest. And he went through all of that. But to from the beginning of time, learn about history, I think would be so cool. I think that the books and resources that are pulled for that level will be a lot of fun. So that we're just going to go through that. Now, I might be reworking it like I have for level 7, just so that the schedule will fit our schedule. But beyond that, we're going to use the history. Now for science, I'm between a couple of things. So he could absolutely do the science for Build Your Library level 9. I believe it's like Earth and space science. So we'll have it. We could absolutely do that. The only thing I find is that science is not my strong suit, and I would like for him to get a lab, but maybe this is the year of science where we don't include a lab. Maybe we wait for like chemistry and physics or whatever other sciences he wants to take to include that. I also was looking up other options. So this is the kind of like middle school level, and it's just to hold place. This is elemental science. So this is biology for the logic stage, which is an option that I am thinking about next year for my 5th grader. There is a high school level of this. Now, they are not updating it anymore, so it is now currently free. But it has the same kind of setup as this, but you are also using CK12 information along with this. And there's a science kit that you can buy. So the course itself now is free, and all that you would have to get is the science kit. So that is tempting. I'm not quite sure which way we are going to go yet. I have to do a little bit more research into that and just kind of see which one makes more sense for our home and for my son. And then we'll kind of go from there. I could also use something like Pandia Press. They have a biology level 2, and again, you can buy a kit that goes with it, and I was looking at that, and it also looks very nice. It's basically like a main textbook, and then you have a workbook and then labs, so that could be really good too. I could also be really crazy with history and use Pandia Press, their History Odyssey, which I think is geared more towards middle school, but I could beef it up and make it a high school level. I don't know quite what I'm doing there. I mean, all of this is like extremely beginning thoughts. Like I said in my 5th grade video, I've had like a little note on my phone, just kind of puzzle piecing, adding curriculum in as I'm kind of thinking about it. And even here on my little cheat sheet, there's a lot of what ifs. And then for his math credit. So this year he has been working through Denison pre-algebra. Absolutely going to be continuing. That's not a surprise. This math has clicked for him. So we will be continuing on with the algebra. It is set up just like this, where he has this big textbook. He has a solutions manual. I have a separate binder that basically has like tests and the solutions for that. He watches the video, does the assignment in here, checks his own work, and then we move on. So those are the main things that I want to include. There are going to be a lot of extras where it might just be like a semester credit. One of them being civics. I think that more and more, this is a high priority in our homeschool to just always be learning more about civics and government. So I saw, I think it was this one, Emily from Build Your Library was talking about, she and her daughter had just gone through Represent. This is the Unfinished Fight for the Vote by Michael Eric Dyson and Mark Favreau. This is literally all about voting and having everybody have voting rights in the United States. I think that one is important. I also then, by the same authors, picked up Unequal, A Story of America. This is about racial inequality in America. So again, really important to know. So these, I'm not sure which one we would start with. My goal is that, let's take a semester and slowly work through them, because I do have other books that I would like to include. We might just do one and push the other one into another year. Another one that I have is True or False, a CIA analyst's guide to spotting fake news. More and more, very important. So again, just kind of going through this. Maybe we go through these for a school year. Maybe we do both of these. Maybe we do this. Maybe between now and the beginning of the school year, I find something else that I want to include. And then I basically have a book for every semester of his high school career. Who knows? Because then I also have, now he had started this and then it just kind of got pushed off. But this is Essential Life Skills for Teens and Young Adults. So I'm kind of thinking that this will be a little bit health related, but I would like to eventually do like a more structured health curriculum. But this, it really covers absolutely everything. So I'll show you and you can hold it, pause it, read through that, and into that. So I think that this would be really important to just kind of go through talking about money and how to write a check and just all of those things that I definitely didn't learn until I was outside of high school and probably could still stand to learn some of this. I also have this book, which is, it's a grade 8, but it's a test prep book. He has been homeschooled since the end of 3rd grade. We're not big on tests. He does math tests because I think that you need to measure that. But I think it would be really good for him to be able to take information that isn't necessarily being taught, and can you take that information and answer questions about it? Just good kind of critical thinking and not stressing out about tests. He did a little bit of it, but I don't think he even got through like skill, yeah, he just got through skill 1. So we could easily just go back and do that again. Another thing is like PE. He already is doing some PE stuff. He does golf. He and my husband have started working out. So kind of anything that he can do like that, I will take it as a credit, half a credit, we will see. Same with all of these books and the test prep. I'm not necessarily planning that all of this will be in his freshman year. We might do a little bit at a time, and it might just be like at the end of his high school career, I go back and be like, okay, yeah, you got enough that I'll take that as half a credit or a full credit of that subject that we kind of hit upon throughout high school. And then I think that's it. It's a lot. I mean, most of it is just we are continuing on with what we have been doing. And that's what I just keep telling myself. I want to just continue. That's it. He is hitting all of those things that colleges will be looking for. And so we just need to make sure that continues on through high school so that if he goes the college route, he's ready. I think I will do another video separately talking about family subjects. Those are things I would like to continue. Even though he's in high school, he's still here, and family learning is really important. So I don't want to stop that just because he's in high school. Like, why can't we keep doing those fun family subjects like art and poetry, and we're going to be bringing in philosophy? You know, any of those kinds of things would be just fun to continue. How I'm going to fit all of this in, I am not sure. I will have future videos for that. Let me know down in the comments if you have any suggestions for curriculum, have any questions, and I can try to answer them or point you in a direction. And then, as always, if you like this or anything else that I post here on this channel, make sure to like and subscribe down below, and I will be back for more soon.